drive your results to be higher if you do these things. The first thing I'm going to tell you is you got to sit down and explain what the hell's going on with your homeowner. Don't just give them recommendations as you're walking to or from your truck or walking through the house. Because if you don't treat it seriously, they're not going to treat it seriously. You've got to have a sit-down conversation, right? Why is that important? Well, like, remember when you were a kid and your mom or dad said, we need to talk? Like, you knew it was serious. If your wife comes to you and says, honey, we got to talk, you know it's serious. If your doctor calls you and says, hey, I got your blood test back, we need to talk. So you want to use this kind of human nature tendency to understand that when we sit down and have a talk, it's going to be serious. That's what you want to do with your homeowner, because these are serious issues. But if you treat them like they're not serious, your homeowner's not going to treat them like they're serious, and you're going to struggle. So what I'm going to do is go to my homeowner. I've done my diagnostic. I found 2 or 3 other issues, and I go back to my homeowner. I've got them involved. They've seen me diagnose each of these problems. I haven't given them any prices. If they ever ask how much it costs, say, it's really expensive, but we'll talk about that later, right? But don't give a number. At some point, you're going to come back to them and say, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, earlier you said to let you know if I found any other issues with your system. Well, I've got some good news and I've got some not so good news. Is there a place we can sit down and chat for a moment, right? You want them to understand that it's a serious conversation. We need to sit down and have a chat. And then you want to give them some good news first about their system. There's always something good you can say about their system. Find something good, right? The ductwork looks great, whatever it is. Find something good about the system and then say, but I did find some issues. And then you're going to summarize those issues. Now, the key here is you have to be very transparent with your homeowner. Once you summarize all the issues, you're going to say, now, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, the Band-Aid repair, which is all you need to do to get started going again today, is this amount of repair here. But if you want your system back in factory fresh specifications, there's going to be some other recommendations I'm going to make. And you go through those recommendations and you add up the repair cost. You add up the total. Once you add up the total, if you've decided in your mind it's more appropriate for replacement, you want to say something like this: Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, to get this thing back in original condition, if it's the HVAC system, factory fresh, these are the things I'm going to recommend. And you recommend them, explain what they are, total them up, and let's say it's $5,000. And then you're just going to say, now, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, this $5,000 is a significant investment, obviously. And I just want to ask you, does it make more sense maybe to put this $5,000 towards a whole house repipe, or should I just get started with today's repair? Either way, you win. It's the alternate choice close. Should we look at replacing it, or should I just get started with today's repairs? If they say, just do the repairs, you did your best. You tried, right? But what's going to happen in many cases when you do that, they're going to say, well, holy shit, how much is a new system? And when they ask you how much it is, that's the golden opportunity. Don't give them a number. Say, hey, that's a great question. We've got specially trained advisors who will come in and answer those questions for you, present multiple options. Let's call the office and get you an appointment. And then they say, okay, and you say, now this is a call you want me to make, right? Right? You got to get them to commit like, yes, I want to see this sales guy. It's a psychological click, right? If you happen to do the sales yourself, if you're running your own leads, you got to stop right then and say, that's a great question. Let me share some information with you about that. And then you transition into a sales call. But you've created all this drama and all this value because they've seen you diagnose the repairs, that they've seen you work all your mechanical magic. And if they say, how much is it? Don't shoot a price at that point. You got to go through the presentation I'm going to teach you in this process next. If you have salespeople that you turn the leads to, then you say, that's a great question. We've got specially trained advisors will come out and solve that for you, right? So you have to understand there's tons of opportunity on every single service call. But if you're going in there and you're just simply offering to do the single repair and leave, then you're not performing at the very best. It's not fair to the homeowner. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to the company. It's not fair to anybody. Right? Because most of the time, we don't go beyond that basic repair. Why? Because we're scared shitless someone's going to say no to us. Who cares if they say no? Right? Guys are afraid, they're going to think I'm a push. I don't give a shit what they think. My job is to serve them.